Telecaster. We never thought we would see this day, although we've been advertising it for a long time. And that's going to be the Fender Telecaster. Pat's got one, and I got one. This is a 53, and this is a 60, and we're also going to use some a new one, 52 reissue, to compare to the old ones. And we have a couple other guitars that are boutique guitar with different pickups in them, just to talk about the different changes in them. We're not going to get into historically everything that happened to the Telecaster, because we don't have time, because we're old and we'd probably be dead by the time that we got doing that. But we're probably going to do another show on the Tele and talk about the variations of the guitar. Right now we're going to focus on the original guitars, the original wiring, and then get into a little bit of the more modern guitars, because this guitar is probably, I think, even though the Stratocaster and the Les Paul are very, very popular, I think these guitars have been played by so many players of so many different types of music, more than anybody, really. When you think of Les Paul, a lot of times they think about a particular sound that they get. Stratocaster, you can't deny that sound that it gets, whether it's Clapton or Knopfler or Hendrix or whatever it may be. These guitars have been used for everything. They've been used from thrash metal to cowboy music to Led Zeppelin. I mean, what can you say? You can't even begin to name all the players who have played these and continue to play this. So possibly this design, this basic guitar designed by Leo Fender in the very late 40s and released in 1950, might be the most flexible electric guitar of all time. Debatable, of course. The original version of the guitar came out in 1950, and it was called the Esquire. The Esquire had one pickup on it. They showed a model of it at the trade show, and it had black finish on it. That guitar supposedly had a pine body, not an ash body or an alder body. The Esquire was available in a few very rare instances and with the two pickups on it. But the two pickup model was known as the Broadcaster. The Broadcaster had a short-lived time under that name, because Gretsch sued Fender for the use of Broadcaster because they had a drum set called the Broadcaster with a K instead of a C under the caster. And so when that happened, Leo and the workers took the decal that they put on the headstocks of the guitars, and they cut off the Broadcaster part. And since they didn't have a name for the guitar, it just said Fender on it, and those guitars are same as a Broadcaster, and they're called the No-Casters. And they used that until the latter part of 1950, I think, right around there, where they renamed the guitar the Telecaster because of TV coming in. And that's the iconic guitar that we have today and all the variations of it. We're going to talk about what they changed on them a little bit, how they reissued the guitar, how close is the reissue to the original guitars, and stuff like that. Something that was of interest also, I was thinking about, is that are there any recorded players playing a Broadcaster? And I think probably one of the best ones, and the earliest ones, was a guy named Jimmy Bryant. Jimmy was a amazing guitar player. You can look up on YouTube Jimmy Bryant and Speedy West, who was a steel player. And those guys were so flashy and unbelievable players. Jimmy was one of the first guys that Leo approached, because he was a brilliant player in the LA area. He was a session player and all that. Got him to play the Broadcaster. And you think about that, what they were playing during the day. These are bolt-on neck guitars, plank guitars, right? And he did, and he recorded extensively with it, and you can hear those guitars on his recordings with Speedy West. We'll talk about the tone circuit, how it has a cap that's in here that changes, called pre-select things, so you can change between the treble position, neck position, and then the neck position with this cap in there that makes it very, very bassy. The idea I think that Leo was thinking is that guitar players at the time could switch to playing bass lines. This has proved to be an unpopular thing. So when you have guitars that still remain that haven't been rewired, these are a couple of them. We got these from our buddy John at the petting zoo, who was so nice to loan us these beautiful rigs, and we're going to play them through the age-appropriate amplifiers. This one is going to go through a Tweed Deluxe, early Tweed Deluxe. We have a 51 that is going to do the job. It's a 5A circuit in it, but we get the idea through a 12. This guy, we're going to put this through a Blackface Fender Deluxe Reverb. And then, of course, they're all going to go through the incredible, famous 1965 Vox AC-10 Super Reverb Twin.
There you go.
Yeah. You know, Pat, the...
What's this?
You know what that is.
Well, I use it for my pipe. It's an ashtray.
That's what they call them,
Yeah.
right? And then, you know, on the Stratocaster, they also... Leo got this thing of covering up the pickups with something. So that thing would go over this. Didn't you tell me that you thought that you had heard that Leo said that this over there created a different magnetic field?
That's right. That's right.
And so it might have an effect on the sound of the guitar. Unfortunately, it did the Les Paul, early Les Paul thing of having the strings be underneath there, so your hand would be lying on there and not be able to mute the strings. A lot of those pictures of Jimmy Bryant playing the Broadcaster, he has that cover that's on there. I don't know. They came with that cover and still come with that cover that covers that pickup. You know another guitar that is very similar that at the time in the mid-50s is a slab body. It has a cream finish that goes over the wood, similar to the furniture they were making at the time, and 2 single coil pickups. Les Paul Special.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot more complaints about the P90s on a Les Paul Special being noisy than I do the single coil pickups on a Tele being noisy, because they're noisy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of an interesting thing. If you had a Les Paul Special and you had one of these, you could get a 2x4 and pound them together and do a double neck like what we did with a 50 Broadcaster and a Les Paul
We
Special.
don't want to show them that, though.
We're not going to show
I thought
them
we
that.
weren't going to talk about that.
We'll edit this out. They'll never know about that.
Then
So-
you wonder why you can't find these vintage guitars anymore.
Yeah, and why there's so much money, unless, of course, somebody turned them into a double neck. Then they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Let's get going. Let's hear some of these rigs.
Damn, that's a good-looking rig.
That's a good-looking
I
guitar.
like that thing.
Mm-hmm. So this is the 53. You notice it's got a lacquered pickguard?
Yeah,
It's
that's the
lacquered.
Bakelite type
It is.
pickguard, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's take a look at this for a second. This is a kind of a common tone circuit, if you call it a tone circuit, that they had. The originals, they used a balance control between the pickups. And so what we have here is we have, when this is on the bridge pickup, it's the bridge pickup. By the way, we're running this into a 1951 Fender Deluxe, call it the TV front thing, because we don't have a 53, but close enough. And probably in 53 they were 51 Deluxes around. Yeah. Anyway, so here we're on the bridge pickup. The tone control is active in it. Well, we go to this position right here. This is the neck position. Tone control's active there too.
So the center position isn't both pickups together?
Like the way they are now, yeah. It's not.
Oh,
Yeah, it's changed over the years. It looks the same, and it's nothing to rewire these guitars, which is a real common thing that people do. Because the originals, they got tired of dedicating one position to this big cap that turned it into this bass guitar, which is this one right here. Ready? It sounds about the same as if you were on the neck pickup with the tone off, almost. But even more so. So that's what the tone configuration is doing on it. This one we got from John at the petting zoo. Well, we didn't get it from him. He loaned it to us. At least that's what he thinks. So, so the pot scratchy on it.
Now, on a Stratocaster, you can put the switch between positions.
On the old ones.
Yes.
Pre 5-way.
Can you do that with this?
Ah, I don't know. What are you saying?
Well,
You're saying, is there an in-between position
C.
that is not a 5-way?
oui.
Let's find out. So that would give us both pickups
Right.
without the funny cap. Never heard of that before. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Patrick.
It is.
Let's play a little bit of it. Now let's play something else. So the original guys that were playing this actually were not rock players, and they really weren't rockabilly players. It was a little bit before that. They were actually jazz players that were playing, making stuff up, really.
Do you know any jazz?
Let's find out. So this would be the bridge pickup with the tone all the way. Wonder what it sounds like on the neck pickup. It sounds jazzier. Guitar's all the way up. The amplifier's on a little bit less than halfway up. Tone control's almost all the way up on the amplifier. So that's pretty cool. You can use the tone control to back it down. Let's do a little of that in-between position thing that Pat thought of. We get the switch to stay. This position, which is when you go to the neck position, it has a big cap in there that turns it into a bass guitar. It's no longer wired into the tone control because it wouldn't make any difference anyway. And I guess the idea was that you go there and you could play bass. It also took most of the volume out of the guitar because it took out half the frequencies. And I guess maybe during the day that it was popular with jazz players. I'm going to crank it just a little bit through the Tweed Deluxe, and we'll see what it would do if someone was like playing the guitar now and looking for something that was kind of bluesy. It has real skinny frets on it, real little ones, because that's what they had, all the guitars.
Those
Back
are
in the day
original?
had those. Yeah, they are. And they, as you can see from the fingerboard where it's on here, that somebody who owned this guitar played it around a lot. I mean, they weren't just like first position players. This pickup right here sounds pretty cool too. With that would be just this neck pickup with the tone control all the way up. The neck on it is not overly large. It's not a V shape in this year. It's more C-shaped, and it's got the usual kind of wear stuff on it. Doesn't have the serial number on the plate because it's on the bridge plate right there. Brass saddles. It's got the original hat sort of thing looking deal on it. You know, the pole pieces change after a while. There were all kinds of changes that happened to the guitar even by the time that it got to the next guitar that we're going to play, which is where they went to a rosewood fingerboard on it. They introduced the custom, which has the binding on it, and we're going to take a look at that guitar right now. And we're going to plug that guitar also into the Vox. We're also going to plug it into a Blackface Deluxe, because that kind of sound that it makes reminds me a lot more of like Bakersfield, kind of a country thing. Kind of makes you wonder. That guitar, the guitar is a the guitar is a 1960, which predates the that kind of music. This is a 1960 Tele. There have been some changes that happened after the 53. One of them is the pickguard changed to white. The pickup changed to called a staggered pole pieces, so that some of the pole pieces were taller than others to compensate. And then a real big change, obviously, that happened here was that it has a rosewood fingerboard. This is the slab fingerboard, so it's thick. Later, they went to a veneer that was curved, and so you can tell the difference by looking at the headstock up here and seeing that the rosewood's actually thicker. This one is also another model they introduced. They bound it. It has binding on it. It's called the Tele Custom. This is a beautiful guitar. Really, really cool.
It's a 60?
This one's a 1960. It has an alder body instead of ash body. You can tell by the grain. Pat was noticing something a little earlier, which is the fact that it looks like it has a two-tone sunburst on the top, but when you flip it over, you can see that it's a three-tone sunburst, like what they were doing in 1960, 59, latter part of 59. It's just faded out.
How did that happen?
I'm not sure. I think it's probably because that John from the petting zoo who owns this leaves it sitting in his front window with a sign on it that says, "Do not steal valuable," which is a pretty good idea because it's worked except for the fade.
Right.
The wiring is pretty similar to that 53, is that it has the three-tone position thing, but this one is the one that goes real dark. This one, tone control's active, middle position is this pickup with the tone control active. This one is this one with no high end left anymore. Because it's a 60, we're going to run it into a black face Fender Deluxe reverb. So the reverb you hear is from the amplifier. And another reason we're going to do that is because this guitar sounds different than the 53.
It does.
It definitely is moving more a little twangier, like what we probably would associate with in the later part of the getting into 61, 62, and into the mid part, which is that Bakersfield country sound, Buck Owens, all those guys.
Richie Havens.
Richie Havens, right, when he played the Tele at Woodstock.
Yeah. So you can't get that out of phase sound on this one between pickups.
Probably can, because we're so used to the regular contemporary wiring that you can get those two pickups there, and this one you can't. So yeah, it's the same thing as what we were doing with the 53. Let's find out. In between position. There it is. See what it sounds like.
Wow.
It's out of phase.
It is.
It's out of phase. How cool is that? Neck, out of phase. See if we can play Beatles songs on it. Wow, that sounds a lot like that little Rickenbacker that John Lennon was playing.
John Lennon.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Well, let's play a little bit. We'll play a little bit on the bridge pickup, and then we'll switch them around and see kind of what it does. We've heard that in between thing. Death pickup. No hop in. It has not very much volume, just like the 53, and it's also very, very bassy. This is the reason probably why it's almost a miracle to find these guitars still wiring and intact, because it was not a very popular configuration as time went on. Let's hear just the neck pickup by itself, tone all the way up. Still sounds a little countryish, doesn't it?
It does.
Doesn't sound quite as much jazzy as the earlier one. Let's see what it sounds like for bluesy stuff. Still sounds very country, doesn't it?
It does.
What's your favorite artist from that time? Buck Owens?
No, I kind of like.
Can't say Richie Havens.
No.
That would be stupid.
Let me get back to you on that.
Okay, can you text me on your Twitter?
I got a smartphone.
Oh my God, what number is it?
What number?
Yeah, is it a 1?
No. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Bridge. Well, I'll just switch them back and forth. Uh-oh, I think Billy's calling.
William F. Gibbons. William F.
He was pissed off.
Gibbons.
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't either. Boy, for a twangy guitar, it sure much ends that, doesn't it? Wow, amazing how different it sounds.
That's right.
Amazing, yeah. Beautiful guitar. Thank John at the petting zoo. Woohoo! 3-tone sunburst. 60 Tele through the Vox. Bridge position. Neck position. Here's that funky dark position. In between position. Out of phase. This guitar is a 52 that belongs to another friend of ours. This is probably more of a common thing that's happened to these guitars than not. It's been refinished, and a lot of the parts have been changed out, but the pickup has not. The pickups have not. The switches and the pots that are in here are the same, but they've been rewired. And they've been rewired like a modern Telecaster, which is bridge, neck, and bridge, and neck. And the tone works in all of them. So it's wired up like that. But for the sake of what we're doing, we can hear what it sounds like a year before the other one that we played. We'll go with the bridge pickup. You think it's a little brighter than the other one?
It sounds like it.
Yeah, it has more top end to it. Pickup height is about the same. This is pretty close as it was on the 53. Both pickups on this one. Neck pickup. This pickup sounds a bit different than the others too. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Get that woman tone on that thing too.
Woman tone. This would be the way that cap pickup would sound when having that selection there. Same on the Esquire too, except they would use this pickup. Put a big cap there so you get 3 different sounds. It's definitely not woman tone though.
No.
Cool. It's got
Nice.
it's got a slightly larger neck to it. Feels like a 50s kind of a neck. It's an earlier serial number than the other one. Cool. Okay, of course we wanted to compare the old guitars that we've been playing to a new reissue of it and see how close that they come. I think that the pickup that they might make on this guitar might be the no caster pickup.
Oh.
Not really sure, but anyway, this is their 52 reissue. We don't actually have a 52 reissue. So we went to our local music store, in this case Portland Music over here not far away, where we buy strings and buy guitars. I bought a number of things from them. And walked in the door there to see if they might have one. You know, they have all kinds of guitars there that are actually like you can actually see them. And they're set up, and they have people that work there that actually know what they do. So that's pretty cool. This is a typical guy that works at a music store.
I don't remember that scratch being on there before. Did you scratch that?
Yeah, no. Hang on a sec. Maybe you won't remember this other one over here.
Right, yeah, the big,
Where is it?
the gouge I took out of the paint.
This is Noah. Noah
Hi,
works,
everyone.
at the store.
That's right.
So Noah, do you know very much about these guitars that
No,
you guys
no,
sell?
I don't. I just started last week. I don't know anything about them.
that's a lie. If we wanted lies, Noah, we would just watch our own shows.
Oh, right.
What's this young guy's name over here?
No, there's somebody who doesn't know anything about guitar.
What is this guy? So, are you an educated guy in music at all, or what's the story?
Not at all.
It's really great stopping by here.
Well, you know,
It's like, look.
it's a wealth of information.
This is like
just
what
not
our
here.
show
You
is.
know, yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
Well, I learned everything from watching your show.
Wow, look
Ooh,
at that.
Yeah. That's right.
Wow. Yeah, they actually have guitars here.
Yeah.
Dang. Wow, he's that way. How many stores are there that Portland Music has?
Got 4 locations.
Oh my God.
That's right.
This is great. Look at this.
Custom shop.
Amazing
shop
stuff,
art.
amazing stuff. This is Andy. Andy's the fool that loaned me the guitar.
Yeah.
About the neck change, sorry.
Yeah.
Look, Pat.
How many pieces is it in now?
Oh, so, okay, here we go. You big grilling. I don't need this. Do you know who I am? So Andy, he loaned us this one for a little bit, and we're gonna play it. It's pretty close.
It is. I like the saddles.
Brass.
Yeah, the knobs, the string tree, the slot screws.
Slot screws. In
Got it all.
53, which is on the 53 that we did, that's where they were phasing these out and going to the Phillips screw. So attention to detail is pretty cool. Nice finish on it. It's kind of thin. As we're looking at it, we can kind of see the grain, which is like the vintage guitars.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a nice round C-shaped neck to it, which is also historically good and accurate. Flat pole pieces, which is correct. The string going around the pickup, that's black because it would be a potted pickup. And the wax that they used to use in the old days, I guess, was black. Anyway, it turned it black. Switch tip is correct. Let's hear what it sounds like. This one, before we do that, this guitar is available in the original 52 wiring. That would be like, as we're familiar with, when you go to this position, it's this pickup with a big cap in there that turns it into a very, very, very dark sounding pickup. This one is with the option, which is a popular option, of having it be normal wiring, so that it's bridge, both, neck. The tone control is active in all things, which is a popular thing.
All right.
And I can see why. Bridge. Back it down just a shade. And of course, it's ballsy too, like Teles can be. Both pickups. Neck pickup. You see why the jazz players could actually get away with playing this thing. It's actually kind of a deep sounding pickup. I've heard so many of these in later years, 70s and all that, they were just horrible. You could talk in the pickup and you go, testing, testing. It come through your amp. That was kind of a funny idea, but not that funny. What's going on? Got that blues thing happening in this neck pickup too. 52 reissue.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Thanks, Andy. This is a guitar that has a pine body. So it's made by a guy named John Brown. And I don't know much about it. We borrowed this guitar from a good friend of ours, Mark Spangler here in Portland. Anyway, but it's kind of one of those throwback things to where it is going back to the original body. This guitar is really light. Mm-hmm. It's pretty light. I can't remember the type of pickup in it, but Mark will tell me, and then I'll run it onto the screen. The neck is huge. It's literally like honking huge.
Mark's a big guy, big hands.
Yeah,
so,
he needs a guitar like this. Yeah, so this is going to be run into the Vox, so we'll just kind of have an idea of what it sounds like here. This has the traditional Tele, traditional like 60s on. Bridge, both, neck. Tone. Sounds pretty good.
It does.
Both pickups. Almost sounds out of phase, doesn't it? Almost.
you had a phase thing on that?
It does turn both pickups on, so when you go, it's there. You know, which is why I guess we never thought about putting the switch in the middle, because we thought that it actually had those pickups on, but it obviously didn't. I like that sound.
Cool.
Cool. Pine body. So that's our first show on Telecasters. We made it through it, pretty much. Want to swap necks on this thing just to see what they do?
Again? That is a Tokai neck on it.
It's Tokai now.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, John. We'll probably be hearing him screaming from wherever he is.
Oh, you know, he'll cry about anything.
Yeah. We'll probably revisit this at a point in time because there are a lot of variations of Teles, and we have some friends that have some others, so we'll come back to them. We might want to mention that we have a website.
Oh, is there a store on there?
There is. And you can buy stuff at the store. That would be part of the Make Doug and Pat Rich project that we are trying to get going. Yeah. So instead of it being like a GoFundMe thing where you just give us money, we'll exchange your money for good-looking fashion wear like this or like some of the other ones. Short sleeve T-shirts, large logo, small logo, long sleeve T-shirts, not like this, small logo, and of course the Doug and Pat Show hats. We have a little back order going on right now, so we're getting more stuff in because sales have been relatively brisk. Also, we're going to have our own line of guitar strings soon. Probably by the time this show airs, maybe. So tune into that. That'll be pretty cool.
All different gauges or just?
I think we're going to have 9 through 42, 9.5s, like what we use on almost all of our Gibson guitars, and maybe 10s that I'm starting to use a little bit on some of the other Gibson guitars, like 335s. We have chosen a particular string that Throwback is having manufactured because we like one more than we do the others, and that's the one that we're going to be endorsing and selling.
What do you put on your jazz guitars?
Jazz guitars, I use 14 through 78s.
Cool.
Yeah, those are pretty good. So the DougandPatShow.com. You can also contact us if you want to just have a fun conversation with us at the DougandPatShow@gmail.com.
Yeah, and comments underneath the videos.
Yeah.
Those are always really fun.
They're pretty fun. And thanks, guys, for actually commenting on things that we're talking about in the show, because it's annoying when we're talking about other stuff.
Well, we do want to hear from you, too.
Yeah, we do.
You know.
We do. We want to have that conversation worldwide, which we're actually having. And we have some great pickups coming up. The next shootout is going to be done pretty soon. Fun stuff. Pretty exciting. I'm glad we got the Tele show done. That's turned out to be pretty fun. Well, thanks, guys. I'm Doug.
And I'm Pat.
See you next time.
Bye.